In the last episode of this series, we fell short of making the postseason in very disappointing fashion. As a result, we failed one goal for the season, alongside, of course, failing another one. It wasn't directly due to us missing the playoffs, but 3 goals for the season. We failed to by missing the playoffs and having a losing record against the last 5 cup winners. So already this episode's going to have a pretty big negative, headlining it. Hopefully we can, turn that around and have it just be kind of a moment in this episode and, really the one negative of it. But we'll be losing either a medium top 6 forward, a medium top 4 defenseman, or a medium starter goalie, or we can opt for a second round pick. It's probably going to be the second round pick. Now, something interesting was brought up in the comments section of the last episode, and it is a fair point. When it comes to this team, right now we have a generalist who's balanced, a forward coach who has an offensive style, and a defensive coach who has a defensive style. The AHL coach is the one that's overly physical right now. It could potentially be worth swapping out the balanced coach for another offensive style. I gotta be honest, though, I don't know if I'm totally on board with that because this coach is insane. Like, he's so good. I mean, granted, we didn't win with them this year, but yeah, it would be tough to throw away a player of that caliber. And or a coach of that caliber. And in terms of players, to get to that point, we're looking at a lot of turnover for this team heading into next year. Goalie-wise, it's pretty straightforward. It's probably going to be Carter Hart and Justice. I mean, Gleboff, though, has a shot. Villalta and Ingham will probably be staying. So I don't really expect too many changes with the current goaltending setup. But when it comes to the defense, I mean, we acquired Colton Parayko. We're going to say, of course, he has the no movement and no trade that theoretically he could have in real life isn't going to be a factor. But defensively, I mean, again, we got rid of Sean Walker. That was disappointing. But Mikey Anderson, Matt Roy, someone like Sean Dursey, Mo Verrera, I believe it is again, Phillips, Mo Marsh, of course, who isn't even signed yet, Jake Sanderson. There's a lot of players who could be pushing for a spot at the NHL level. And then you see the forwards here. Turcotte, Grundstrom, Anderson, Dolan, Kapari, Luff, all RFAs. Chance we let go of Dustin Brown. Velarde is an RFA. Wagner as well. And then in the system, of course, Genther's going to have to be signed. Keel Thomas is there at the moment, but Matt Savoy will probably be signed. It's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out and who survives this offseason and who ends up staying here, because genuinely, I have no idea what this roster is going to look like. But regardless, it is time to get down to business. So we'll see how this goes. I don't know if the Ontario Reign have made the playoffs. I presume that they have, and indeed they have, with a 38-win season. And we'll see how it goes for them. First game here against San Diego. We'll follow along a little bit. They dropped game 1. They dropped game 2. Oh boy. And game 3, the Ontario Reign have been swept out of the postseason. So we didn't have to follow along for all that long, but nice for a lot of the younger players on the team to end up making the postseason. So in terms of what's next for us, I mean, first and foremost, it's the lottery, which we don't have our own first-round pick. We do have a first-round pick at least. I think we have 2. But again, we don't have our own first-round pick. That went to Philadelphia. In terms of where this Lannon guy is going to be insane, by the way. I wouldn't be surprised if he's franchise. But in terms of who's available in this draft, I mean, hopefully Kit Powell can be the pick. Because with Dvorsky, Sisek, Peter Petter, Molnar, I mean, these are all created players. They're real-world players. Of course, they exist. But, yeah, I don't expect them to be that great. We have the Italian, Daryl Dumba. Not bad. I thought that was Yari Curry for a minute. That would have been great. We'll see how this all plays out. Again, that's the issue right now. Like, we do have a set plan, and that's to roll with the best team that we can possibly have. As Colorado fires their head coach. The San Jose Sharks win the Stanley Cup. The Belleville Sens winning the Calder Cup. It's obviously to have the best team that we possibly can. That's the goal for the season. It's just who stays, who goes. Talked about in the last episode, trading Trevor Moore and Blake Lizotte when we did. That really might have backfired and kind of torpedoed our chances to make the playoffs, but odds that they were going to be here beyond this year, not very high. And again, it made sense to cash out while their value was high because I just don't think they were going to make it, all things considered. There's just too much talent coming up through the system. You could argue again with Moore and Lizotte, like, okay, again, they would have been third liners. Like, is it worth keeping them on the third line? Debatable. Certainly debatable. But of course, that third line spot is so valuable to us because that's the entry point for guys like Kapari and Velarde and Anderson Dolan to actually, see what they can do at the NHL level. Regardless, the San Jose roster, Kevin Labanc killed it. I mean, Joe Thornton wins the Stanley Cup in San Jose. Can't complain about that. Jonathan Dahlen made the team. No real change in forwards. All players that are, aligned with the Sharks in real life to this point. Defensively, Merkley was on the roster, Waugh and Mellock. Defensively, Martin Jones. He wasn't good, but they won. So, is that frustrating? Yes. Yes, it is. Considering, the Sharks series that we had earlier this year. Yeah, that was this year. That's crazy. Blake Wheeler wins the Art. Ross William Nylander wins the Hart. Jesse Blake is throwing a one-man party right now. Will Butcher wins the Norris. Mitch Marner to Lady Bang. The Calder goes to Bobby Brink in Philadelphia. Conn Smythe to Kevin Labanc. Vasilevsky wins the Vezina. Jack Adams to Vancouver. Philip Denon wins another Selke. Nylander to Ted Lindsay and the Rocket Richard to Nathan McKinnon. Down in the AHL, Grigory Denisenko scored the most points. He was league MVP. Most goals went to Grant Mismash. Top, a rookie, Trevor Zegras, recently signed by the Ducks in real life. When he gets to play, nobody knows. Top defenseman is a generated player named Vasiliev. Top goaltender, Thomas Greiss. MVP of the playoffs, Mad Shugard. Shugard. Who cares? I care. I'm sure he's a great guy. But yeah, there are different pronunciations, I've heard. So first and foremost, the lottery. The lottery. Oh, God. Oh, no. Was the Carter Hart trade worth the second overall pick? There's no way of knowing for sure that we would have ended up with the second overall pick. It's not as bad as Tampa getting the first because of Columbus. Let's be honest, the answer is probably because it would have been a forward, and we're already pretty stacked when it comes to forwards. But still, that's not what you want to see. It really isn't. Philadelphia gets the number 2 overall pick, thanks to Carter Hart. For the retirements, Patrick Marleau, Eric Stahl, Jason Spezza, Justin Williams, Mikko Koivu, Jeff Carter, and Dustin Brown both retire at 38. I probably wasn't going to bring Dustin back anyway. David Backes, Louis Erickson, Nathan Gerby, former Portland Pirate. That's depressing. Keith Yandel Duncan, Keith Shea Weber, Brent Seabrook, Alex Golgoski, Ham Houston Hainsey, among others. And James Reimer, Optimus Rhyme, calls it a career. Then we're going to have new staff members. At the very least, Joe Thornton didn't retire, did he? Justin Williams and Dustin Brown becomes a coach. Interesting. Might have to take a look. Draft interviews, of course, not really allowed to do it. Should have set up the block. In fairness, the AI never really sends trades. Anyway, let's get down to business. The draft is here. And let's take a look at our situation. Again, we are allowed 7 picks per draft, no more than 2 picks in the same round. 1 trade up, 1 trade down. Our picks, 18th and 28th in the first round. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So the 6th and the 2 7ths we're going to look to move on from more than likely. Unless we end up trading up, which I don't envision, but we might. So again, goaltending-wise, I mean, if I could try to get something for Lindholm, that would be smart. But even then, there's just no value there. There really isn't. I think for the most part, we're just going to keep the same 6 goalies. I mean, yeah. The question's going to be how good is Glebov? But for the most part, I think we're going to be fine. Hart, Glebov, Justice, Villalta, even Ingham still hanging around. I don't know. Let me double check this. Can I get anything for Ingham? The answer is no. Is there an AI is there an AI team dumb enough to trade for Rodin? There is. You know, I don't feel good about it, though. Even for sevenths, it's just picks that I don't need. I was just wondering if there's a team dumb enough to trade for him. It's probably because of the overall. So like I said, as far as I can tell right now, I don't mind our goalie situation. We might need to move on to get more of an ideal backup, but that's money that I don't exactly want to spend right now. We can revisit that in free agency. Defensively, tough to say that we're going to get rid of anybody here. It really is. I mean, again, we need to wait and see how certain players develop to really decide what this defense is going to be. And then forward-wise, I mean, this is where it gets to be tough because, again, what do we do with Lonze? You know, our defense, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I mean, people have to go. And I could make the moves right now, or I could wait it out. And that's the thing, right? Like, you look at Carl Grundstrom and you're like, holy shit, what can we get for him? The answer is Alex Pietrangelo, a first and a second. Jake Bean, Jake Bean, a first and 2/3. Holy God. Whew. Wow. That is one hell of a trade. Not that we necessarily need Jake Bean right now, but that might make Parayko expendable. Carl Grundstrom is a second liner. Good God. That is potentially worth considering. Damn. Let me take a look at this here. Because that trade is promising. Jake Bean, 25 points this year as a defenseman, or at least in the last year he played. Did he sit out this past year? He did not, so he did end up playing. I mean, you're talking about, you know, top-notch offensive D-man, but he doesn't fit in with the team. He fits in on the PK, but he's not a perfect fit for this team. That doesn't mean he's necessarily a detriment. Both of these two are going to be restricted free agents. But if we take a look at our team again, this is absolutely worth considering. Top six this year: Turcotte, Anderson Dolan, we'll say Iafallo. I'm not even going to rule in Kopitar. Then Kupari, Genther, and Savoy. So that leaves Kopitar, Thomas, and Velarde on the third line. Ideally, I mean, if we keep Grundstrom, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh my God, yeah. Somebody has to go. Like, you can pretty much already tell somebody in that top 9 has to go. Should it be Grundstrom to make the most of his value? I don't know, because his value is inflated. He's a second liner. He's a true second liner. He's not a first liner. So that trade value is inflated because he's playing above his overall right now due to morale. I mean, if he continues to play at this level, I mean, he's a good fit for this team too. He absolutely works as a second liner, but the second we pay him, his value goes down. So it's deciding if we want to stick with him or not. 50, 75, and 63. This is a tough call. That really is. Damn. I don't know what to do as far as that's concerned. Turcotte, of course, is going nowhere. I can't trade Iafallo. Jared Anderson Dolan. I'm just intrigued. The third overall pick. All right. Jake Bean, a first, a third, and a fourth. Calgary's willing to give up the third overall pick for Anderson Dolan, who right now is a third liner. Wow. The fact that Calgary's even willing to move this, I need to jump on this right now. Calgary's willing to move that pick, and I don't necessarily have to give up Anderson Dolan to do it. What do they want? I'll look at the trade finder. No guarantees I'm going to use the trade finder here because I think we have the assets to make this happen. Let me see what it's going to cost me. Myself. That made sense, I guess. To get that first. Anderson, Dolan, Kapari, Kapari and 3/3. Iafallo, who I can't trade, and Glebov. Interesting. Am I willing to give up Rasmus Kapari instead of giving up those extra firsts? I'd have to get rid of another first-round pick anyway. But they're interested in Rasmus Kapari, who I don't exactly want to give up yet. But if... How is Kapari's value? Oof. Say I give up that Washington pick instead, though. Take Kapari out of it. How close are we to that being a deal? Again, I'm only allowed to get one pick back per trade. But, I mean, if I can pull this off, there's no reason to not try. This is still going to be too far out, isn't it? Yeah. 2 minutes to see if we can make this work. But the problem is, right? I mean, ideally, we'd be picking up another forward. God, they have interest in Anze. I kind of want to keep him, but boy, does it make sense to get rid of him right now. Oh, this is tough. Who's even available? Am I willing to move Jared Anderson Dolan? It's the problem for the most part. I want to stick with the younger players on the team. That's the reason to, you know, keep them around. That's the reason why I didn't want to trade Kempe. Let's see, who's even here? Yeah, it's all forwards. Squires, Terrell Amane, Schofield. It would be one of these two. Probably Amani because he's 17. Nobody else except for Dallas is willing to trade. Let me see if I can pull this off. I might not give them what they're looking for, but I'm still going to try because I just don't have time to look at Kapari or Anderson Dolan. But like I said, with Anderson Dolan, it's the same thing as Grundstrom. He needs to be signed. The second he's signed, that value is going to drop. Unless that is a 50-50 shot, like he actually becomes that good or he crashes back down to reality and his trade value drops. The thing is, though, he fits in so well with this team. I think we're going to hold on to him. I want to hold on to the players if I can, unless they're forced out. So if I don't think I'm going to have the value to trade up here with Calgary. I would have to give up somebody. I guess I could give up Glebov, but then we're putting all the eggs into the Carter Hart basket. Putting all the eggs into the Carter Hart basket. Oh, boy. Which, I mean, we kind of have to. Although, then again, we didn't sign Carter Hart long term, so I kind of can't. We have to let Calgary make this pick. Carter Hart's only signed through this upcoming season, then he's an RFA again. I can't trade Glebov. And right now, forward-wise, I don't have the... Calgary's going to make the pick. I don't have the facts. I don't know for sure who to get rid of. Calgary, we're going to let them make that pick. Damn. I'm going to go with Squires. This is tough right now to try and figure out all of this on the fly. Like I said, is the big thing for me right now is do I trade Grundstrom? Because we have Turcotte, Grundstrom, Anderson, Dolan. Iafallo's here for at least another year. Kapari, Genther, Savoy, and then Kopitar, Thomas, Velarde. I mean, it's just in terms of like, okay, do I want to try and make the most of Grundstrom's value? Because that is a crap ton of value that might not be legit value by the end of it. I could regret getting rid of him. It would be that Jake Bean pickup. And if we trade for Jake Bean, we are talking about Colton Parayko being flipped. Potentially. It depends on Toby Bjornfot and his development. Same with Zekov. Oh, man. We really could use someone like Jake Bean. I just know Grundstrom's value is going to drop. It's just a question, much like with Trevor Moore. Does it make sense knowing that he's potentially the odd man out anyway? Turcotte's probably safe. Anderson Dolan's probably safe. And again, Grundstrom's value is a little bit more inflated than Anderson Dolan's. Iafallo has to stay for now. Iafallo, whatever. Kupari's probably safe. Velarde's third line. But again, Genther and Savoy are going to be stepping into this team. I think I'm going to hold on to him. Maybe. Possibly. This sucks. Oh, this sucks. I'm just trying to figure it out. So again, it's Genther, Savoy, Turcotte. And then from there, you follow Grundstrom, Anderson, Dolan, but then that leaves Kupari on the outside. And that's already considering Anze on the outside. Which I don't want to get rid of Kopitar, but there's a chance he's going to be forced off of this team. Turcotte, Genther, Savoy, Anderson, Dolan, Iafallo, Kupari. Hope that Kopitar drops. Is it worth it to get Jake Bean? It's just how much is Grundstrom's value going to drop by once he's signed? And is that just too dumb? I can't make a decision. There's just so many what ifs, and I don't want to sit here 15 minutes from now or by the end of this preseason, or get to the preseason and just be like, well, screwed that one up. I'm just trying to consider every possibility. We're staying. We're staying with the team. The team that's the players. We're sticking with it. I don't know if that's the right decision or not, but I think we're sticking with it. I need to explore potentially trading up with Dallas here. Actually, well, the problem is I can't really double check. I think we're going to try to make a deal for that Dallas pick, though, to try and move up. And that'll be our one trade up. So it's all forwards. The target would be Connor Bedard. Jonas Pan. His name is Jonas. Yeah, it would be the target. And defensively, I was like Dumbo, but again, I have no info. It's so tough to judge. Powell was doing pretty well, though, in the W. But yeah, I think trading up is just far too valuable of an idea. Probably. Instead of taking... You know what? Let's go for... Let's go for a little bit of overall depth instead of one lights-out prospect, I think. God, this is one of the toughest off seasons already, and I haven't even made a draft pick yet. Craziness. I don't really see how we can make up the value because they don't want to move anything. I think we're stuck with the picks we have, and I think for the moment we're stuck with the players that we have. Let's send the 18th pick. Let's see who's available out of the top 7. It is either going to be Powell, Dumba, Barrett, Ranton, Simpson, or Ulbricht. Ulbricht, big-time penalty minutes, probably a DFD with his size. Tyler Simpson, decent enough. Tuomo Ranta, smaller defenseman. Ryan Barrett, Daryl Dumba, and then Kip Powell has that impressive point total. Barrett's a monster on skates. I think, when's our next pick after this? It's a bit further back. Yeah, it's 28th. Oh, boy. Powell, Dumba. I just can't help but think Dumba might be really good. It's just tough to judge. And then, of course, the Italian and Dumba is an interesting one. I think Kip Powell. Kapow. Might be the guy. Yeah. I think he's the guy. I hope I don't regret this. Kip Powell is going to be the pick as a left wing. Is there anybody else willing to trade up? Toronto, but it might not be in time. It won't be in time to get Dumba, so we might as well just sim. To the 28th, Ranta's off the board. We've taken a left wing, and now we have a chance for a defenseman in Bengston, 6'4". We won't take Nickerson. He's a left wing. Beauregard, 44 points at 17. Hordichuk, looking okay. Zachariah Schroeder. Jonathan keeping Schroeder as a defenseman. A lot of penalty minutes, though. keeping, and Eric Moss. I mean, a Swedish defenseman. You can't do wrong with a Swedish defenseman. We're taking Bengtsson for the hell of it. So we have a left wing and a defenseman thus far. I at least, gave you guys a look at the options that we had, and I am certainly already, you might be able to hear puppy dreams in the background. I certainly might regret my decision, and time will tell. So you'll know right now, it's like, I would have done it this way. And then, hey, by the end of this, Hendricks. He available? Yes, he is. By the end of this, Hendricks would have to be my wild card pick. By the end of this preseason, once this roster's set, we'll know whether or not we made the right choice. I don't like the penalty minutes on those two. I don't like the penalty minutes on Hendricks either, but it's an interesting point total. I just can't afford to take a left wing right now for the most part. Noah Hale, 6'3", Burmistrov. You know what? Let's go for Hendricks. I like that point total. I like it a lot. So he's my wild card pick. My free pick. So we need a center, a right wing, a defenseman, and a goaltender. And we sim to the end of the third round. No more left wings allowed. Let's take a look at this right winger, 12 and 24 at 17 years old. Okay, that's not much of a choice. Harrison Chung, Mickelson, decent point total. Fewer penalty minutes than Richard. Is that the Mickelson or McLeod? And we're going to go for Caden McLeod. Yeah, let's go for Caden McLeod as a right wing. So again, now it is a center and defenseman and goaltender as we move on. So, did I make the right choice being this passive? That is the question. So again, no wingers. It's going to be one of these three defensemen. Ludwig Lundqvist, Warren Cairns, decent point total for the 18-year-old, or Yuri Korobov. It's going to be Cairns. Let's go for the point total. Warren Cairns from the Owen Sound Attack. We need a center, and we need a goalie. Not going with a trade-up, not trying to cash out on Grundstrom's value. Is that the right choice? We'll be taking a goalie here, either Ruben Manderville, 6'3", 18-year-old, or Boy Maurice, who did not play. At least Manderville played for Val-d'Or. Ruben Manderville, come on down. He's the next goalie of the LA Kings, and that leaves us with a center. And do we have one here? We do not. So we are going to be trading down. See what we can find. See what we can find. All right, so any interest in this pick from anybody? We'll get the rights to Connor Clifton. Technically, I'm only allowed to pick up one pick for next year's draft, so I mean, I'm kind of just looking to see what's out there. I mean, a 6th rounder or the rights to Michael Dalcol. A 6th rounder, a 5th, and a 7th. The rights to Adam Pelech, Scandella. For the sake of simplicity, there's a team offering just one pick, wasn't there? No? No, I was thinking of the Dalcol deal. Let's go for... Let's pick up... Connor Clifton might not even be that good at this point. Hutchings, we have no idea how good he is, but he's not even signed. McDonald on Florida. Again, I prefer to trade down for a pick next year. Actually, in fairness, technically a trade down would be... still, the rules, we're fine. Let's just give me the rights to Michael Dalcol, and we'll see if he's worth keeping, as opposed to getting an extra 7th that I have to trade away anyway. We'll see if Michael Dalcol is worth keeping. I pretty much just needed to get rid of that pick. There is a center. It is Jermaine Jermaine, regardless. you are the pick. Congratulations. A winner is you. And we are going to get rid of the rest of this. So, how would you have handled that draft in comparison to me in terms of the picks made, the decision to not trade up, the decision to not make trades in general? Yeah. How do you feel about that? Because trust me, I think you can tell. Even I'm questioning my decisions. We'll see if they pay off. Anaheim, how would you just like to do this flip? Yeah, there we go. We'll give you an easy trade win because I don't care. I just need to get rid of the picks. We are done. We are good. How will these players turn out? Don't know, because again, this is the one series pretty much ever that I'm not going to have Fog of War turned off. Screw it. I don't want to know. So that brings us to the re-sign phase. Now, I should have sent out some offers a little bit earlier, but hey, we have time now. So we get to the goaltenders, and we're starting off with Justice, who again is an RFA. I want to bump that up to a 3-year deal, and if he's willing to sign that, that's a steal of a deal for us. Matt Villalta, same thing. We're going to go 2 years though because it'll leave him as an RFA. If he's willing to sign that, I'm pretty good with it. Rodin obviously will be let go of. Defensively, Toby Bjornfot needs to be signed. And then, wow, Dow Cole's actually apparently better than I would have expected. There's no way we're going to keep him, though. So, Bjornfot. How much money do we have again? $37 million. Let's bump up Bjornfot to a 4-year deal because it'll keep him under an RFA. And again, no movements and no trades do not factor in with RFAs. So, that'll be $3,975. That is a risk, but it's one that I'm willing to take. Yuri Zykov. Yuri. Let's give you that extra year as well, just to kind of keep control here. And that'll be $2,975 if you're willing to sign that. Phillips, we might as well hold on to if he's willing to sign that. That would be great for us. Austin Strand is a great depth option for us. If he's willing to sign that, I'm not complaining. Alex Turcotte. This is going to be expensive. If I drop it down to 3 years, he's still an RFA. So that is tremendous news. And we'll go at 5,625. That works for me. Rasmus Kupari. We're going to go up to 2. Again, I'm only allowed to adjust that by 1 year, so I can't cheese these contracts. 255 would be the price there, which I'm good with. Matt Luff, 4th line extraordinaire. Let's try to go 2 years at 165. We'll drop that down to 1425, which is decent for a bottom 6 option. Pretty happy with that. And then Gabriel Velarde, only 2 years. He is not looking for much, and that is not a good sign for the sake of his development as the top 6 option. 145 would be the deal there. On the lefts, Carl Grundstrom isn't looking for as much as I would have thought, but he's a UFA. I think we should have traded him. But there's still a chance, of course, that we can. The thing is, he's an RFA right now, so this contract isn't affected by a no movement or a no trade, but when that deal's up, he is. Michael Dow Cole, willing to re-sign. And by the way, thankfully everyone has been willing to re-sign thus far. I forgot to pay attention to that. Michael Dow Cole's an interesting one. He played in Belleville last year, though, so I don't believe he's actually as good as he is. He's listed as a depth forward. We'll come back to him. Samuel Fagemo, 2-year deal would be spectacular. And then Austin Wagner, 4th line extraordinaire, also an RFA. Oof. He's looking for a little bit more money than I would have hoped, but I can't say he hasn't been deserving of it. I think it's his speed that really helps him. 1825, though, would be pretty good. And then Paul Byron, we're going to drop. Centers, Jarrett Anderson Dolan, my God, are we dishing out the money right now? We'll drop that down to a 2-year deal for the sake of keeping him as an RFA. 405. what we're looking at. Drake Rimesha. Let's go 1 year to keep him as an RFA. And Michael Eyssimont, I don't know yet. We might not need him. Well, let's see what happens out of all of those contracts. See who's willing to re-sign. And we have an associate coach whose deal is up. And a scout. That's fine. So let's see. Austin Wagner is back. Carl Grundstrom signs. And I'll be intrigued to see how his trade value looks. Toby Bjornfot, Matt Luff, Drake Rimesha, Austin Strand, Jarrett Anderson, Dolan, Marcus Phillips, Gabe Velarde, I think I called him Matt Villalta, Rasmus Kapari, Alex Turcotte, Sam Fogamo, Justice, Yuri Zikov. Everybody resigns. How much cap do we have left? 16 million. Jesus. Well, that's just spectacular. Rodin, obviously, 7th round pick. Not going to be holding on to old Cali Rodin. Again, I think goaltending-wise, we have our 6, and we're good with that. We'll see how good Vanderbilt is eventually. Defenseman, again, Doughty, Clegg, Parayko, we're looking fine there. Mo Marsh will probably be signed. And then out of the players that we do have to sign, it doesn't make much sense to not sign these guys just to see if they can make it. I mean, with LaCosta, 64, probably going to drop LaCosta, but for a medium 7th, Montgomery is someone I'm willing to try and hold on to. So let's sign Mr. Montgomery, and let's sign Van Allen if we can. And then, of course, Salak is still signed. Right wing, Matt Savoy's probably, we're going to be signing him. Van Kadishin needs to sign. It's easy enough. And then for the left wings, Dylan Genther needs to sign his ELC. Dow Cole is probably out. Paul Byron's definitely out, as we talked about. And then centers, Eysimont's probably gone. Bohinski's probably going to be signed. Let's advance a day, see what the contracts are up to. So Jalen Van Allen signs, Genther, JC Montgomery, Van Kadishin. That brings us up to 50. Right. So all expiring, it's Eyssimont, Bohinski, Dow Cole. If I want any space to work with, we need to drop some people. So Michael Dow Cole, I picked you up for the sole reason of just seeing what was out there. We're going to drop him. We're also going to drop Eyssimont. I am going to sign Bohinski, though, and we'll see how good he is. So that will keep us at 49 contracts. So, like I said, this team is pretty much set. Right now, it's just seeing what kind of player development we get and making the most of it. Again, putting this puzzle together is what we're looking at right now. And I totally forgot to send an offer to that coach and to that scout. Son of a bitch. That's okay. We can handle that really quickly. Let's take a look at the free agents. And God, Grundstrom for Bean might have looked pretty good. In terms of the top free agents, goalie-wise, obviously last year we signed Carter Hart. This year, Leonard, Bishop, Blackwood, Kemper, all out there as elites. I guess my question is, in terms of potential, is there anybody out there? Miele and Wolski. Would either have been worth it to sign? I don't know. Obviously, we can't even sign a goalie right now, so that is what it is. Interesting that Coy, Tendek, and Roddy Ross are all minor league starters now, but they're starting to get up there in age. Defensively, we have two. Well, one, because that's Jack Johnson. There is Tommy Allonen, 6'2", 19-year-old who went undrafted. And for forwards, in terms of a top prospect, there is Manny Morrissey. So I could sign one of them if I wanted to. In terms of the top defensemen that are out there, no top twos, but top fours, Dumba, Klingberg, Nurse, Bean, of course, is there. In terms of what it would cost to go after him, another first and a third that I don't think I'm willing to part with. And obviously right now we have $16 million in space. And then for the top forwards, Timo Meier as a UFA, Kessel, Bertuzzi, Drouin, Killorn, Jeremy Bracco, Krejci, Bergeron, Getzlaf, JVR, some solid veteran options. But obviously, like I said, I mean, who fits in where? I mean, yeah, it's like, oh yeah, send Timo Meier a deal, but it's like, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. And if you haven't noticed, the strategy is to keep a lot of cap space if we can. And of course, a lot of our guys haven't gotten those big money deals yet. The only thing I'm worried about is the cap situation, but as far as I know, we are currently over the floor. So let's just double check that. We are indeed over the cap floor. Cool. So I'm going to sign one of those free agents, whoever I think is the best option between that forward and that defenseman. So it's either Morrissey or Allen. Both are 19. Tommy Allen just didn't play much in the SHL, and then Manny Morrissey in the W had 44 points. I'm going to go with the unknown and Allen, because I feel like we might end up needing another defenseman. So he's going to be my only major signing. Again, free agency just isn't a big factor for us right now. We already have the pieces. Now it's just putting the puzzle together. So Tommy Allen signs. I do need to... Ooh. So a second-round pick in 2 years for a second-round pick next year. And Salak. I'm not allowed to get more than one draft pick back. Let me stop this. Hopefully the coaching staff problem isn't screwing it. An AHL associate. And it needs to be a forward specialist. In terms of the overall forward specialists, Silvestre. Who has the best teaching? This dude. Yeah, this dude. Okay. So you, how would you like to be an AHL associate coach? And then we get to the moment of truth where we get to see just what the hell we're dealing with. What this team's going to look like, whether or not we screwed up not trading Grundstrom. I mean, there's a lot of unanswered questions. And in terms of scouts, as far as I know, I only need the one. Khalil Pody. Could be it. I'll also send an offer to Matt Martin. Go figure. To just play it safe. So let's sim. We're at least going to get a look at this team because odds are, I mean, I'm going to want input from you as far as like, hey, did I screw up the draft? Which obviously we'll have an answer to that very soon as to whether or not I screwed up the draft. There's a really good chance that I did in terms of electing not to trade up. Obviously with the draft picks we don't know yet, but the decision to not trade up, the decision to not trade Grundstrom or Anderson Dolan, acquiring a first, Bean, whatever, was that a mistake? I mean, again, right now it might be face value. We'll see if that opinion changes, regardless of what side of the argument you were on. We'll see if your opinion changes here once we get a look at what this team is going to be this year. And obviously, we didn't even sign Matt Savoy, but I'm factoring him into the top 6 because it really doesn't make much sense to play him as a third liner. Third liner with power play time, maybe. So just to take a look, we're listed as hopefuls. And of course, we'll need our goals of the season, but we'll get to that once the team is set. So right now, Savoy, depth forward, Marsh, depth defenseman. Nobody else is NHL caliber right now. Duly noted. Tolmine and Amanderville, both other goalies. Okay. So let's take a look. We're factoring in probably Savoy and Marsh. So let's see what we have here. I want to look at the defense first, or goaltending first. So Glebov is a backup. Wow, so there you go. Glebov steps up. He is a legitimate backup now. It'll be him and Carter Hart. And again, that decision, we could have traded Glebov. Held on to him because we don't know if Carter Hart's going to want to re-sign. And if he doesn't, we have Glebov as an insurance policy. And then obviously, Hart will be an RFA and we'll be fine. So I think goaltending-wise, we know Justice is good enough, as is Villalta. I'm intrigued, though, to see who's worth calling up, because both of these guys are minor league starters. One of them is going to be the third goalie. That way Ingham can get a little bit of time. I don't have to worry about playing AHLers within their role. Defensively, we still needed a top 4. Bjorn Fott and Zekov aren't there. And in terms of the roles, Sanderson's a depth defenseman, but yeah, right now we're missing a top 4 defenseman. Now, whether or not that's Mikey Anderson, I don't know. To be honest, Doughty, Clegg, Parayko, Bjorn Fott, I'm going to send them down, and I want to get a look during this preseason at Sanderson. We know Roy is probably still going to be our depth defenseman. Is there anyone else I really want to get a look at here? I want to find out how good Allen is. We already know how good Salak is because he played a little bit, if I'm not mistaken. At least I think I remember how good he is. And then for the top 2, I want to call up Marcus Phillips and see where he's at. And then Zekov and Bjorn Fott, I'm going to need to call up 2. For the hell of it, we'll give Roy some playing time. And, let's call up Salak. Let's give him a bit of an effort just to see, to get some information. So we're going to run that combo, of defensemen in the preseason just so that we can get a better look at Sanderson, Phillips, Anderson, and Roy. So then forward-wise, Tyler Madden's a minor leaguer still, apparently. But here we have Turcotte, Kopitar, Grundstrom. Oh my god. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That works out. But obviously if we want to get Savoy in there, it doesn't work out because we have one too many fourth-liners, which means someone would have to go. So if we want to work in Savoy as well, we have one too many people. Two too many people. Kaliev, we know, is more offensive. He's not a fourth-line grinder, so he'd be playing above his role. Our fourth line last year can stay the same. So that means, let's just say we sign Savoy. So it's Savoy, Turcotte, Grundstrom, Velarde, Anderson, Dolan, Kapari, Thomas, Iafallo, Genther. I don't see where Anze Kopitar fits in. We're allowed to trade him. We are allowed to trade him. Not that I'd want to. We need to get more info on where these guys are right now. We know Turcotte's good. He's on the top line. We know Kopitar is still a second liner. Crazily enough, we know Kopitar is still a second liner. I don't think we need to play Turcotte in this preseason, but these 3 I want info on as well. Damn. All right, we know the fourth line's set. We're going to send them down because we know that right there, that trio, is our fourth line. So that's our 12 for the preseason, just so that we can get some info that'll help us make a decision. So we're going to go best lines because it's just more about who's actually playing. And we are going to sim towards the beginning of the regular season, and hopefully we start to have a little bit more info on what this team looks like. And then from there, it's decision time. It's decision time. So we'll stop the sim there. 1 preseason game left. Tyler Madden, 11 points in 6 games. He did very well. So let's take a look. Hopefully, again, there's a little bit more info. So goalie-wise, we know Carter Hart's an 89. Glebov's going to be his backup. And to be honest, for the moment, I could just be like, yeah, let's call up Ingham just as a depth option at the NHL level in case something happens. That way the other 2 are still playing. Defensively, we know Sanderson's a 79. We know Allen and Salak aren't quite ready for prime time. That's not surprising. So obviously call up Doughty and Clegg. So the question of who deserves the third line spot, I mean, Mikey Anderson didn't have a great year last year. We could give it to Sanderson. We could wait to see how Sanderson does, because Phillips isn't ready yet either. And if we were to make these call-ups, right now it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think we give Jake Sanderson a chance. And then we'll be calling up Roy, and if Sanderson can't cut it, we still have Mikey Anderson. And then forward-wise, man, I don't even know. I wanted to see if any of these guys, like Tyler Madden, we're drifting towards being too high of an overall to have just wasting away in the AHL. Same thing as, why we ended up calling Akil Thomas up last year. But like Shafagulin and Fagamo, I think, we're going to be okay on that front. So we still have pretty much the same question. Who leaves this team to make room for Matt Savoy, who is way too good? I think for the moment, we send down Tyler Madden, but we're facing having to trade him. So right now, that's the fourth line. Kaliev's probably a third liner for us this year. And if he's not going to be a third liner, then he gets traded. Say he's on the third line. Alexia Iafalo's listed as a third liner, which is a devastating thought. But say he, Genther, Iafalo, and then again the top six. I mean, we have to get rid of people. We have to. We have to make room for Savoy. I don't see how we're going to pull this off, and who the hell to get rid of. I mean, trade values are certainly going to be a factor. Grundstrom's value is still way up there, too. Draft pick-wise, we have our first. We have a couple of extra thirds, which is nice. Again, goaltending-wise, it's just what's Carter Hart's future here. Defensively, we're still looking okay. But then forward-wise, again, Savoy needs to be signed. Pow's value is showing up as being through the roof, so that looks like it worked out. Again, Iafalo can't be traded. Anderson Dolan's value plummeted. I was afraid of that. Although it's, it's not properly founded, so maybe not. We might be selling low. Guys, I'm going to end it here because I genuinely don't know. All we know is that somebody, if not multiple people, for the forwards have to be traded. Defensively, we at least know that we're stable enough with the top five that we can give Sanderson a chance. Again, Mikey Anderson can be, our option down in the AHL. Hell, Matt Roy stepped in and played very well once we sent Anderson down last year. So that's not a bad 7 to have. And then, our AHL defense is looking like it's going to be fantastic. If anything, we have a couple of players signed too many. But right now, it's just who ends up playing where. I don't think necessarily it's worth signing Mo Marsh either. But like I said, there are just so many decisions that we have to make in terms of who stays and who goes in this lineup that, it's worth letting you have your opinion, give you the chance to voice your opinion on what you think we should do, because this is a crucial time for this team. This was a crucial offseason. And whether or not I have done well to this point or have completely botched it, I look forward to you letting me know. I know that you will. So that'll do it for this one. Let me know what you think in terms of moves, goals for the season. Again, the 3 most upvoted goals would be what we do. I don't pick my favorites. We just do the 3 most upvoted. It's a democracy around here. Check out everything in the description if you haven't already. You know that. Like and definitely subscribe if you haven't already, or I will continue to shame you. And shout out to my patrons over on Patreon. I love you guys too. I will see you all in the next one. Until then, I'm going to be stressing. Have a good one. Take it easy. Wash your hands. Stay safe. I'll catch you later.